Alright, we're back. I'm glad to see everyone again. Let's get back into it. Here's the Brotherhood of Light, Part 2. I'm going to assume you saw Part 1. Quick summary. Brotherhood of Light founded the Union, 7 ranks, run everything as a theocratic oligarchy. We're here to talk about their military/leadership structure. Continuing from where we left off, all levels of their government in some way, shape, or form reported back to the Brotherhood and the Council of 7. So let's break down the Brotherhood's leadership. The Brotherhood, as a military force, had 7 ranks. They're very easy to remember. From bottom to top, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. The names of the ranks are simple because your service in the Brotherhood is done first and foremost in the name and glory of Iblis, not for personal gain or vanity. They also had a different definition of the term paladin. While the modern definition of paladin is a holy warrior who wields the power of the light, Brotherhood paladins are actually any soldier in the service of the Brotherhood, and the ability to use the light was not a requirement to become a brother or a sister in later years. It wasn't even a requirement to move up in the ranks, but that's not to say it didn't help to be able to use the light. Every 6th and 7th in the history of the Brotherhood was able to use the light. How does one move up in the Brotherhood, and what does each rank entail? Well, going through the recruiting process grants you an unofficial 0th rank. This is where they manage all of your testing to ensure that you're qualified to become a brother, as well as beginning your training. In most cases, 0ths are not required to go to war, but exceptions can be made depending on local or national needs. 0ths gain few of the benefits, but none of the recognition that comes with being a brother. Becoming a 1st is as simple as doing well enough in your testing and training. You are confirmed to the position by your local 5th, or by one of the Council of 7 if you are not Heat Yaaay or they happen to be available, and you will be given the full benefits that are associated with being a brother. However, you will find that the training has become far more intense and you will be held to a higher standard than you were as a 0th. Also, as a 1st, you are now required to go to the war for the Brotherhood, so your training might seem a little more serious and less like training. Moving up to 2nd from 1st is a simple matter, although it is possible to skip 1st entirely and be admitted to the Brotherhood as a 2nd. You just have to test really well and be gifted with light magic. Otherwise, it's just a matter of showing basic competency while performing your duties as a 1st. Your position is confirmed by your local 5th, or one of the Council of 7 if available, and you are responsible for making sure that the 1st and 0ths underneath you don't kill each other or themselves. Although, in battle, you possess no authority, unless you are somehow the only authority available. Becoming a 3rd requires time and dedication. On very rare occasions are people initiated into the Brotherhood as a 3rd. You have to test exceptionally well and must be exceptionally gifted with light magic. Most other people spend years proving they are capable of handling the responsibilities that come with being a 3rd. As with 1st and 2nd, your position is confirmed by your local 5th or 6th if available, unless you were initiated as a 3rd, in which case the Council of 7 holds a special ceremony in your honor. Your local 5th will now expect you to keep track of a dedicated squad of 2nds who will watch over your 1st and 0ths, and you will likely have some small government function to run, usually administrative type work, but it's not unusual for 3rds to be managing postal work. Most brothers will retire as a 3rd. By that point, you will have served your country well, and it will ask nothing more of you. However, for those with an innate sense of leadership and drive, it is not enough to settle as a 3rd. You have to want to be a 4th, and you must prove your dedication and loyalty to the Brotherhood every step of the way. You must be strong and disciplined. If you are chosen to take up the position of 4th, you will be confirmed by one of the Council of 7, and they will assign you to a minor governing position somewhere in the Union. You will most likely preside over a small township or village, although it is not unusual for 4ths to be lower court judges or head one of the many agencies run by the Brotherhood. You are expected to create and execute battle strategies in war, although you are not expected to fight on the front lines. Once you become a 5th, your rank becomes slightly more fluid than it was as a 4th or below. It is possible to move from 5th to 6th and back again, though this is unlikely. You are also now eligible to become the 7th. Very rarely are 6th promoted to the 7th, but we'll get to that in a second. There is a small window of time each year that opens for each 4th who wants to become a 5th to apply for the promotion. Once that window closes, all of the 4ths are sent to Yaaay, where they undergo several intense rounds of testing to see if they are capable of handling the position of 5th. After each round, those who fail the tests are sent home and cannot apply to be the 5th for another 3 years. Those who pass are then promoted by the Council of 7, who assign them to govern a territory or oversee a major government function. As a governor, you are responsible for ensuring the well-being and contentedness of the territory, as well as managing all local promotions for your 1st to 4ths. To keep despots from rising to power, there is a biannual review of each 5th that takes several factors into account, including economic prosperity, popularity based on a survey of the general population, and popularity based on a survey of the brothers who serve underneath the 5th. The overall results of these reviews will signify whether a 5th continues to be eligible for promotion, whether they continue to be fit for their position, whether they will be reassigned, or whether they will be asked to step down and retire. As a military tactician, you are expected to work with and refine your 4th's battle strategies, but you should only step onto the battlefield as a last resort. Now, let's get into the Council of 7. There is only ever one 7th at a time, who is advised by his 6 sixths. The 7th rules with near absolute power. Nobody in the Union can question or challenge his authority, and all brothers and sisters bow before him. The 7th decides and gives direction for national policy, decides the terms for international relations, decides which laws will be passed, vetoed, or repealed, and directs the military force of the Brotherhood. It is his job to sign off on all assignments and appointments, as well as ensure that these people he's putting in these positions are doing their jobs and doing them well. The 7th is the face of the Union and is seen as Iblis's representative to the people on the planet. And it is important that the 7th understands the full depth and weight of his position, because he's in it for the rest of his life. Now for the important question. How do you become the 7th? Well, step 1 is that the current 7th needs to be dead, as confirmed by the High Coroner and announced by the 6ths. After that, the 6th will nominate up to 6 5ths to replace the 7th, one for each 6th, or will endorse another 6th candidate. A 6th can be nominated by another 6th, but must receive the endorsement of at least 2 other 6ths to continue being eligible to become the 7th. The candidates will then meet with and debate before the 6ths, who will slowly remove the lesser qualified candidates. When the 6ths finally decide on who the new 7th will be, that 7th immediately replaces the old 6th by promoting up to 6 5ths to their advisory positions. Traditionally, the 7th will keep the 6th who initially nominated them as one of his advisors, but it is not required. The old 6th can then retire, as most do, or can continue to serve the Brotherhood as 5ths. While the new 7th generally picks 5ths to serve as his advisors, it is possible for him to choose a 4th, but his nominee must be unanimously endorsed by all of the old 6ths, as well as any new 6ths who have already been chosen. Now, the 7th is not free to reign entirely as they please. While the 6ths mainly exist to advise the 7th, they do have a few powers to keep him in check. As said earlier, when a new 7th is selected, he immediately chooses his new 6th to serve beneath him. Technically, the position of 6th is lifelong. The reality is that the 6th serve at the discretion of the 7th, who can dismiss them at any time with reasonable cause. So, for example, if a 6th falls deathly ill and cannot fulfill their duties, the 7th may relieve them and choose a new 6th. Reasonable cause, however, is not something decided by the 7th, but instead by his remaining 6ths. If at least 3 of the remaining 6ths find the 7th's reasoning to be sound, then the 7th is allowed to remove his advisor from their post. Now, if the 7th is showing signs of becoming despotic or is neglecting his duties as 7th, the 6th can unanimously select a usurper whose job it is to remove the 7th from power by whatever means necessary, usually death. This vote is made in secret, and one of the 6ths will personally travel to meet their usurper and deliver their judgment. This is not a power they exercised lightly, but was used on a handful of occasions in the Brotherhood's history. In each case, the usurper was selected as the new seventh, except for one. This exception was for the future Death Knight known as Ellis the Damned. Ellis was chosen as usurper during the First War with the Ancients, but instead of becoming seventh when he completed his task, he was given the title of Provisional General, the only true title ever assigned to any brother or sister. What did that mean? All of the nitty-gritty policy-making was left to the sixths in order to keep the country running. All military and judicial matters were left in the hands of Ellis. Under his authority as general, all brothers were essentially stripped of their rank. They still had to perform the functions of the positions they were placed in, but Ellis could freely move them in and out as he pleased. So, if Ellis felt that a particular governor was more useful to him on the battlefield, he could replace them with someone else to get them where he needed. His law and judgments were final, although he did leave most criminal and civil cases in the hands of their lower courts, instead opting to preside over all military cases or acting as an arbiter as he personally encountered crimes. On the battlefield, his order superseded all others, and his strategy was the only one that mattered. The position of Provisional General was effectively untouchable, even by the Sixths, who still did possess the authority to vote for another usurper, but making this vote would have reflected badly on them and likely would have backfired. Ellis would have, at some point, had to abdicate his position as Provisional General and allowed for a new seventh to be chosen. Or he could have continued ruling as a tyrant, because there was no one who could stop him and he had the full force of their military at his back. But he didn't do that. And I think that's everything I wanted to talk about with the Brotherhood of Light. Again, they were a big, important group, and it turned out there was a lot more to them than I had initially anticipated. Thanks for indulging me for these 20 minutes, and I hope to see you again on Tuesday. I think I'll talk about what the Iblan Church, and therefore Iblis of Light, knows about Dusk and Rebirth. Hopefully I'll see you then. Hi, I'm Gabe, and it took me a lot longer than it should have to record this in-slate. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss the next one. If you want more content from me, consider following me on Twitter, where eventually I'll tweet some more. If you want to learn more about anything I'm talking about or catch some details I missed, consider buying my books. Links are in the description below. Also consider checking out the Tumblr, where I post side stories and art about the books that I can't really put anywhere else. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.